Alright, so back with the Miata here today. Today we're going to replace that exhaust manifold. So we got the new one right here. It's a Goodwin Racing 2-inch primaries with a new donut gasket and two of the O2 sensor extensions. So first, obviously, we have to get the old one out here. I'm going to get the wheel off and the trim piece on the inside there off first, just because I did just drive it in and the exhaust manifold is still pretty hot, so I'm gonna give it time to cool down. Alright, so now I got the wheel off and the little plate right here that was right there, I got that removed as well. I'm gonna go ahead and get this removed as well as this, because I will have to lower the down pipe or the mid pipe here in just a moment. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove both of those and then proceed from there. So next I'm going to take this bracket here off, right there. It's got a 14mm bolt right there, and then two nuts right here as well. So I'm going to get that bracket out of the way. I have already pulled the nut off this one. I got to get this one knocked loose as well, and then I'm going to keep going. Alright, so both of those broke off, which is good because we don't have to use them for the aftermarket, so I guess it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, so both of those broke off. So on the heat shield bolts up here, let me see if I can get around. So right, there's one right there. I'm gonna get that one off for this O2 sensor here. Then I'm gonna get the O2 sensor right there undone as well. I'll put a little bit of PV blaster on that. There's another O2 sensor back right there. So I put some PV blaster on that as well, just to help break it loose. So there is a nut up there for that top heat shield. You can kind of see it kind of toward the right near the frame a little bit. It's the nut for that first heat shield. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get that from down here because you can't get it from the top. Probably gonna have to use an extension to reach all the way up there. That or just cram my hands way up in there. Once I figure that out, I will give some more information on that one. Alright, so just an update. I got that O2 sensor out, that bolt there out, this nut here off, so I got that O2 sensor completely off now. Back down through here. As we already know, I got these disconnected. I went ahead and put the O2 sensor in the back of the mid pipe here. I do have the extension for this one here, as you see. So that'll get run up front in just a moment. So that bolt up here that I was previously talking about, it's kind of hard to get to with that alternator little intake there. So I did go ahead and remove the two 8mm bolts out of the back of that. You can see one's missing right there. There's one on the back side. Back around on the other side of it here. So there's another one up top. I'm going to get that off as well. Go ahead and start getting the heat shield off, and then I'll get that little piece there off as well, so I can get up to that nut up here. Alright, so top side here. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and get this off. Obviously that's in the way, so these two bolts, I'm going to go ahead and knock that one off too, pull this whole mid piece off, then get this off with these bolts here. Get that out of the way. Once I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and get that nut there off of that heat shield. Then we got the one down here for this one here. I should be able to get down there with a wrench, and that is the one we were looking at down there. I'm still gonna figure out how I'm gonna get to that one. It's like that piece for the alternator is kind of hard to get to from the top here too, so I might have to look at that again from the bottom, so I can get this one out of the way. Once I do that, I'll probably unbolt this, and kind of move this out of the way. Try to get by without disconnecting it. Probably pop this loose as well, so I can move this whole piece out of the way. And then once I do that, I'll go ahead and resume the video again. Alright, so that one up there I was able to get to from the top. There is another one right there, if you can see it, and I just used a long extension, this one right here, in order to reach it. So that other heat shield at the top is going to be loose. I'm gonna get the vehicle back down and start working on that other heat shield. Alright, so from the top here, got that heat shield out of the way. Most of the bolts were pretty easy to get to. Just one back over here, you got to use a wrench on. Everything else you can use a regular old socket and get off pretty easy. We did get the one from the bottom to begin with, so that made it easier. So I'm going to go ahead and work on unbolting the exhaust manifold itself, and then work on getting it out of here. As you see, I did kind of move all this stuff up and out of the way. I'm going to try to get by with that still all connected there. If I need to, I'll go ahead and disconnect here, probably maybe put a clamp or something on there and tilt this up out of the way. But hopefully I can get by with just squeezing it out. So now right here you can see that other 8mm bolt in the back of this part for the alternator here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that out probably first, and then so I can get this whole black piece here out of the way. That'll give me a little bit more room kind of through here. I'll try to wiggle that out because from what I've heard, getting the stock manifold out is probably the hardest part of this. So try to give myself a little bit extra room without unbolting the alternator or anything like that and having to remove the belt. Alright, so now we're almost at the point of removing this thing. So top bolts were pretty self-explanatory. They're pretty easy to get to. One's down here. I used a 3-inch extension along with a deep well socket and kind of had my ratchet right about here. I was able to pull those off pretty easy, this one and that one down there. So back here and down at the bottom. So both of those, the one closer to the camera here, you can see just above the runner. I used the deep well socket, and on the back one back at the very end, I had to use a short socket on that. Just be careful not to round it off, as the stud is slightly longer than is comfortable for that short socket. So make sure you have a good bite on it before turning it hard. So I did leave the center one here kind of on, just slightly loose, so it would kind of hang there. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that one off and see how much room I have. And then I still haven't got this out of the way. It was kind of hard to get to that 8mm bolt, so I'm thinking if I can pull this back a little bit and then shift the runner up some, I can get to it real easy and just kind of pop this out of the way. Alright, so I did end up going ahead and removing this hose here. I did have this little nipple thing, so I slid that on real quick, try to minimize the amount of coin I spilled everywhere. Still ended up spilling some. I probably should have drained it first, but too late now. So I did go ahead and get it out of the way. Once that was out of the way, and I was able to kind of move this out of the way as well. That is loose, but it does get caught on this piece here from the block. But with that other piece out of the way, which I believe fell under the vehicle, the other black piece that served as the little scoop. Oh no, here it is. So once this was out of the way, right here, you did get a bit more room. So with that out of the way, I was able to pull it almost straight up. I did have to, wiggle it back and forth, but other than that, it wasn't too bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the new one in, but just for comparison's sake, runners here on the stock one with the cat versus the Goodwin Racing 2-inch primaries there, obviously gonna flow much better. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that in now and go ahead and start getting the nuts put on. Alright, so one of these studs did stay in here, sprayed down with some PB Blaster on both sides here. It is going to be a 13mm, so got my long socket here, and I was able to kind of hold down on this side and yank on it until I was able to break that loose. So I will be able to go ahead and put this in the new header here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The other one stayed in the mid pipe, so that one's already down there. I did go ahead and put the O2 sensor on this side. Then I have the other one, as you saw, in the back side of the mid pipe after the cat. So I'm going to go ahead and get the new manifold here in, and then I will resume the video again. Alright, so I disconnected the mid pipe, as you see here, so I could get it bolted up properly to the header here. I do have it bolted in up top up there. So I was running the extensions here. You can see one of them. They're both going to plug in the same spot up here. I'm going to have to figure out how I want to route these and probably zip tie them up, maybe attach them to the back of the brake line up here where they're out of the way before I put that cover back up here. So I'm gonna get all that figured out once I get the brackets down here back up. So for now, I'm gonna go back to the top side and go ahead and actually what I'll probably do is go ahead and get the mid pipe connected back so I can lower the car without that dragging. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get that hooked up first, get the exhaust hanger back on, so I can lower the car all the way. Alright, so now with the vehicle up in the air again, I have all these set in place just loosely as I was trying to get everything routed where I wanted it. So I do have this back connected together, back on the exhaust hangers here. I popped this down and I popped this down, kind of went back here and kind of fed it up through here and popped these back in place. Then I have this zip tied here going up that way. So then I have them pulled close to the body here. One loop here for the longer one, and then zip tied up here again, and then that goes straight over there to the connectors where they go into the PCM. So that's how I have it routed there, and that other piece will come up and cover all this right here, that plastic piece of trim, so that'll protect that from throwing stuff in the tires, throwing stuff at it. So I do have this one in. That one's connected up here. Everything here is tight. Header is tight. Med pipe's tight, and I have it routed all the way back in here. Everything is snug up again. I do have polyurethane hangers just so this thing doesn't move. So I probably will go ahead and tighten all these down now because I think I'm pretty much done down here. All right, so I got the heat shield back on, coolant hose here back on. All of this put back to the firewall. All this bolted back on here. Everything is back connected up here, even to the valve cover. So I am going to go ahead and start it up now. So I haven't put the strut brace here or the tire back on yet, just in case I have to adjust anything. So I'm going to go ahead and see how it sounds now.